What's up, coaches? I'm Brad Ellingsworth. This is my YouTube channel, Coach E. It's devoted to all things football, especially being simple and playing fast. Guys, if at any point in time through the video you enjoy the content, smash that like button, drop a comment, and definitely subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the new content that gets rolled out on the channel. Today is going to be one of my favorite videos. We're going to talk about the stick concept. And yes, I know there's 10,000 videos out there about the stick concept, but I think I have a little something to offer. I think you can get something from it. And the one great thing I love about the stick concept is I think you can run it in any offense. We were in the spread last year. We're going to move to the under center wing T this coming up year. And I'm still going to use the stick concept, okay? We blend and disguise it in different personnel packages, different motions, different shifts, different formations. I'm going to show you all that today. All right, so strap in and let's go ahead and get going. So just to, I'm old school, got a PowerPoint presentation here. So there's my email, guys. Also, if you wanted to hit me up and ask me any questions, just to give you a real quick run through, so you can expect or know what to expect today. We're going to go through the route assignments, the QB reads and footwork, how we practice it, and then the last two, or the next ones, are kind of paired together. The practice the disguising with formations and the 13 game clips. I'm going to show you that while we annotate the huddle film that I'm going to show you. All right. So route assignments, we count from the sideline in, okay? And the players have to know that, okay? They have to know that. So the first guy in from the sideline has an outside release 9 ball. Number 2 has a hitch. And number 3 has a swing or a flat route. Now, we tweak this a lot with double outs or an out with a flat. Okay, those were our 2 tweaks onto stick to help us disguise it. But the read was the same way. We also, you'll notice that there are some clips where I run double hitches, but we read it the same way as stick, which is why I have it in there as well. So I'm excited to show you this. Like I said, we disguise it a lot, but these are the route assignments, and they're what help us just be able to run it in any formation. As long as a kid knows what number they are and understands the play. We do have a different play call for if we're running our double outs than just our regular standard hitch, or if we're running our out with a flat. They are different play calls or names, but it's all stick. All right, so I taught this as a movement key. So where our flat defender, we wanted to put him in either a vertical stretch or put him in a horizontal stretch. All right, if you don't know about that, man, I'm planning on doing a video about that, but definitely check out Dub Maddox talking about stretching defenders. Basically, when we're running that hitch flat, we want to see if that flat defender attacks the hitch or if he sits and sinks, and that's putting that guy in a vertical stretch. When we run those double outs, that's putting that defender in a horizontal stretch, and I'll get to that when we get to the video. Well, we used a movement key. Now, next year, I am going to teach it as a progression because we got called a little bit against cover 2 where we probably could have hit the deep ball, and we just didn't because I didn't teach it as a progression, and that's my fault. But I'm going to teach it as a high, low, middle progression. And the very last thing that you need to understand about the quarterbacks is out of the gun, this was a 1-step drop, and the most important was the release time. We had a timer at practice, and that ball from snap to release needed to be out between 1.8 and 2 seconds, okay? We didn't always have the 1 step down in the game. I mean, we obviously repped it at practice, but the release timing was the most important thing there. How we practiced, okay? So obviously we had combined indies where we have 4 quarterbacks, our JV guys and our varsity guys. So two quarterbacks would go with the running backs and work their mesh points and their read option and RPO reads. And then 2 quarterbacks would go and work the route tree with our receivers. And that's where we would really work the details in our routes. After that, we would go to group work. And guys, group work was a progression. Well, it started that way in the beginning of the year. I took over as the head coach, but also as the offensive coordinator here, and it was a new offense. So we started where the coach, we would tell the quarterback what read he was going to get, and the coach would give him that read. And then we moved from that. Once we felt comfortable in that, we progressed to the coach just mixing up the reads. So let me show you a little bit of that. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm not the greatest at making a huddle presentation. So I kind of have, you'll see up here at the top, I have my 4 windows open so we can get right to the clips. But let me first show you just really quickly how we repped it. So this is the real basic like 2x2 stick here. So this would be a coach, and if we were going to give the quarterback the hitch read, the coach would just on the snap of the ball, 1-2 sink, punch, and get to the flat. If we told the quarterback we're going to give you the swing read, he just sink, square, and sit, right? And we would just rep that, and then we felt comfortable enough for him to do the reads himself. The coach would just mix it up. Now, the next one I'm going to show you is the little tweak that we had, or at least I thought I had another one in here. Yeah, I do. So the little tweak that we had, and I have it here out of empty. So we ran this double outs. I loved running it with double outs. It's just really changing stick from a vertical stretch on the defender to a horizontal stretch. And this is what I mean. So in the last one, you saw him going either on the swing or back on the hitch. Here, he's either turning and running with number 2, or he's squaring up and sitting on number 3. And so that's how we taught this read, right? This read was, I told him to read the hips. So if the hips turned and throttled towards the sideline, we're going to throw inside to number 3. If the hips were square and sat on number 3, we're going to throw outside to number 2. I mean, that's basically, that was it. That was the read. Okay, so that was our different tweak. The things that you guys are going to see today, we run this out of 2x2. We run it out of 2x2 with flat or jet motion. We run it out of 2x2 with push motion with our back. We run it out of bunch. We run it out of a 3x1. We run it out of quads. We run it out of 11 personnel. We run it out of 21 personnel. So there was a bunch of different ways that we blended and disguised stick. And that's all it was stick. But we tweaking some things and using different formations, it kept the read the same for the quarterback, which kept it simple and allowed us to disguise, but didn't make it expensive week in and week out, because the core and the foundation stayed the same with the route assignments and the quarterback read. So let's get into what everybody loves and get into some film. So this is our first game of the year. Okay, so I'm going to show you stick here. This is stick out of 2x2 to the slot. Okay, so we're running, the clip didn't catch it all the way, but we have an H-back here. We're running him across in jet motion. He's going to run us flat. One thing we taught the guys, if they went past the hashes and they didn't see the ball, never, ever go past the numbers to throttle down and turn and show hands for the screen. We're going to get a vert, and we're going to get hitch. Now, one important thing here on the hitch that I taught these guys, they're not robots running a hitch route. The guys running the hitch needed to understand, or the out in some cases, needed to understand where the read defender was, and he needed to replace him, replace his hips, and sit in the hole. This kid right here, not a very fast kid, okay, by any means, but disciplined and did a really great job with that. So I'm going to let this roll so you guys can see it. All right, so we run this with motion. He expands. Here is our read key. You see him jump the route. Boom. We get our receiver that sits in that hole there, right? You see our number 2 slot here. He does a really nice job. Again, he's not a robot running that hitch. He sits and replaces. Boom. We get a wide open ball. Now, here's where I tell you we get in trouble here against coverage. Not necessarily in trouble, but we miss a huge play. And why I'm going to teach it as a progression. So this is cover 2. This hard corner triggers down. This receiver ends up running by. This safety would not have gotten to him. If we went 1 to 2 to 3, you can see where we probably had a chance for 6 points here. Okay, we probably had a chance for 6 points, and I'll run that back just a couple seconds before the ball breaks the quarterback's hands. But you can see here, if we're reading 1 here, that safety is in no position to get over the top here. We missed that. That's why I'm going to a progression read. Now, we saw that after halftime. We come back to it later, but I'll get to that when we get to it. So our next clip. All right, same play here, right? Again, another way to run it. We're running it out of 2x2 to the slot again, but we're using push motion. So you're going to see our back run the swing. You're going to see our number 2 run the hitch and replace, and our outside release. Finds the hole, throttles down, makes the catch. And again, you can see where the movement defender was affected. We get our back out here in space. He goes, oh shit, I'm going to trigger down. And he triggers down, which gives our guy inside leverage. And he sits and makes a catch. Good football play. All right, so let me run this all the way back to the beginning. Here, again, we're starting 2x2. We shift to 3x2. Shift to empty, right? All right, now, here is what I was telling you was our little tweak. We run our same outside release. He's going to run his out, and he's going to run his out. Now, the quarterback doesn't read this correctly, and I'm going to tell you why. If you remember, a couple minutes ago when I just said, when we ran this, we were now reading this guy's hips, turning it into a horizontal stretch read. You'll notice him turn his hips and throttle to the sideline. We should have thrown it inside here to number 3. Okay, but the quarterback, it's a good route. The quarterback throws it on time, and we get a completion out of it. But I do want you to understand the read, and it was the incorrect read. He should have, now, this guy's hips, right? This guy's hips are clearly turned towards the sideline. He should be thinking, I'm coming inside to number 3. I don't know if we would have gotten any more out of it because this guy was our dude, right? So at the end of the day, he got the ball to our dude. But the correct thing would have been to right now come into number 3. And just give me a second as I annoyingly click through here. I said somebody needs to teach me how to make a huddle presentation on Huddle, because that would probably be pretty useful. Okay. So again, you see a shift out here. Now, I want to give you some context to this. This goes back to the first clip that I showed you, right? They're playing cover 2. We know we have a hard trigger corner. This is after halftime, because if you watched my last video I put out, we didn't have headsets, so it was very hard to get this clearly communicated. But once we got it communicated coming out of half, we changed this to our first read. Now, this kid going to be our best football player for a while. He's going to be a great football player for us. I'll put it to you that way. But he's 14 years old, and he's a 9th grader. So what he doesn't do here is show great technique. The corner does a nice job funneling him, gets him outside technique, funnels him in, jams him, and funnels him to the safety. What our receivers should have done was restack and work back to the numbers. If he does that, we probably have a good hole shot here. And we almost get a completion here, even with the poor technique. Now, here was what we talked about too. If he notices, since this is our flat defender, if the corner triggers down, we knew they were in cover 2, and I didn't want to change it completely up. We didn't go to a progression read at halftime, right? That would have been completely changing up what we taught. I just switched our movement defender key and said, here's our flat defender. If he triggers down, take the whole shot, right? If he turns his hips and bails, take our number 2. So he triggers down. He takes not really a whole shot, but he takes number 1, and we still have a chance for a catch here. We don't get it, but poor technique. That's why I tell you from here on out, I'm going to teach it as a progression read, so we have a built-in answer there for cover 2. All right. Our next play, okay, this is what I was telling you about was with our hitches here, right? And then why I kind of threw this in here. The read is the same in stick. Yeah, we got empties out here, but really we're concerned with these two, was we're going to put this guy in a horizontal bind. He's either going to cover inside here or he's going to expand and cover here, okay? And so what you end up seeing is, right, the quarterback does a nice job throwing a very on-time throw, and we get a good completion out of it. All right, and here's another way to disguise it, right? Here's bunch. Here was bunch. So I think we saw 3x1, right? You've seen 3x1 now. You've seen 2x2 with jet motion or flat motion. You've seen 2x2 with push motion, and you've seen us shifting to empty and running stick, right? It's such a versatile concept. So here, route a bunch, and I'll let it run through, and then I'll come back and explain it. All right. So we're in bunch here. It is tweaked a little bit in bunch, even though he's technically not number one by alignment, we still treat him as number one. So he's going to run his vert. Since we're in bunch, his out changes to a whip route. And he does a great job. And you'll see later, my other backs don't do a good job when they're in the H-back position. He does a nice job of running straight down the line. And that's important because if this guy were to run like this, there's not as much separation here. Whereas from here to here is a ton more separation. And you can see this, right? He runs straight down the line of scrimmage. He runs a nice whip route, gets behind the read defender. He's a very intelligent kid, and we get a good football play out of it. All right, taking you to another game. So here we go. We're going to shift to, and here we shift opposite, right? So the last game you saw us shift to the stick side, right? Now we're shifting opposite to this from the stick side. So kind of breaking a tendency that we had shown on film. But the read is the same here. We're coming to the 3x1. We're running our double out. This team was playing man, okay? And so it ended up being, this is our read key. It ended up being an easy read, right? Because this read key ends up just man turning, jamming. And so he knows his hips are on number 3. He immediately knows I'm going to number 2. And one thing we also talked about here too is pre-snap leverage, right? As long as this isn't a cover 2 corner, which again, scouting reports, we knew they were going to be playing man. That's what they played. All right. But by leverage, he knows he has this guy beat also. But you can see again, a good play now that corner made a really good football play there, reacting to the play, but still a positive football play for us. So let me go to our next clip in this game. Sorry for all the click through. Oh, here we go. Here's quads, right? Now, same deal here, right? We get an outside release. The only thing that's tweaked here in quads is we're going to run to the middle of the field because, again, I knew they would be playing man. And then we get our same. What we should have gotten here, though, was our outs. And the same thing that I showed you in bunch from the game before. He should have run straight down the line of scrimmage. He doesn't do that. He runs here, and therefore we don't get a lot of separation. However, the read key is still the same, right? This is the read key, right? And you'll see him cover here. And we had our number 3 open. Now we don't hit it, but I wanted to show you, for all intents and purposes, how the concept works, right? You can see he's popped open, right? He is now popped open. Poor route. We don't have enough separation, and poor read by the quarterback. Now we were very rusty in this game. This was one thing about the passing game is it requires way more reps than the running game does. And we were coming off a 2-week COVID shutdown. Now I'm making excuses, but I'm just saying we were rusty. You can see that's just poor. That's just poor. And I'm gonna show you the same thing here. We run the same thing. Quads again. Right? And this back, different kid, same issue. He doesn't run straight down the line of scrimmage. Instead, he runs his out here, causing not a lot of separation, but we get this. He's going to run to the middle of the field. There we go. Run to the middle of the field, and then outside release. So we're kind of working 2 concepts in one here. But you'll see here, again, the concept does pop a guy open. Now, I want you to notice something, too. Now our read key is over top of our number 3, as opposed to being over top of our number 4. And the quarterback knows that. We repped it at practice, how they would move to it, or if they move to it. So he knows that's his key and knows he's over top of number 3, our number 3 now. And he knows now that our number 4 should pop open, and he does, even though it's a poor route, but we still don't hit it. Again, guys, this is nothing more than stick disguised, tweaked, disguised in a different formation, right? All right, let's go to another game. So I want to show you these other 2 games because they're in 2 different personnel packages. Here's with a tight end. Okay, here's with a tight end. So this is 11 personnel, and we're going to run this with motion. The quarterback does an absolutely terrible job of not letting the motion come all the way through, but it still works nonetheless. But what we should get is a motion and a flat, our outside release 9, and we get our out route. Okay, again, it's stick, right? So you'll see how this works here. Boom, you see they all react to the motion, and we get an easy completion to the tight end. Now, I say easy completion. This was the 2020 state champs, and their defense was hella good. Okay, they just reacted and ran. And they were fast. But again, just for all intents and purposes of showing you the concept and how it can work, you can see they react purely to the motion here, but really it would have been the same read, right? Here's the read key. So that read key throttles down. Quarterback sees it on his plant. He releases, and we get a first down reception to our tight end. And our last clip out of different personnel package. You see we're in 21 personnel here. But again, the reason this you give route assignments, the reason this concept is so malleable is because as long as they understand where they're at on the field, you can run it. And we ran it with tempo. So we get outside release, we get our out, and we get our swing. I really like it out of this look because of all this separation here. This really puts the defender in a little bit more of a bind. And you can see this team's playing a 4-4. So, we know that this right here is our, curl flat defender that we're going to read. That's our read key. And I'll let the video play and show you what we get. Now, we don't complete the ball here. But, again, you can see how the concept worked. And also see why, we're changing offenses because no matter if the concept works or not, you still got to be sure that high school kid throws the ball accurately and that the other high school kid makes the catch. And that doesn't always happen. But again, I just want you to see this guy throttles down on the swing, and therefore we hit number 2. That's our key. All right. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's one of my favorites, the stick concept. If you enjoyed the video, guys, please like, comment, and definitely subscribe so you can be up to date on all the new content that rolls out on the channel. I'm Brad Ellingsworth. This is my YouTube channel, Coach E. Be simple, play fast.